his story. A popular YouTuber who has been blowing up. I mean, he has 4 million subscribers. And today, I'm going to be reacting to his story. I've got some of his most popular videos, and I'm going to be reacting to them all. Stay tuned because it gets crazy. First, he tapped back part 1. Because there's 2 parts. Let's start.
My twin brother Chris and I were 9 when we learned Morse code. We tapped messages under the dinner table when Mom told us to stop talking and tapped through the wall between our bedrooms every night. When Chris got into a car accident and the doctor said he'd never wake up, I pulled up a chair next to his bed, took his hand, and tapped. "Are you there?" Nothing. But I came back the next afternoon and tapped again. Before I left, I always said the same thing. "See you tomorrow, Chris." A week later, Chris's fingers twitched against mine, and I almost fell out of my chair. I grabbed a nurse and she barely looked up. They're reflexes. It doesn't mean anything. I bought a notebook
Like the baddie queen. They're just reflexes. They don't mean anything.
Next day and started writing down every single one. 4 months in, Mom watched me scribbling and said, "How long are you gonna keep doing this? Until he taps back." "He's not gonna tap back. You're talking to a corpse." Dad lasted a few more months before he pulled me into
Mom is so mean. He's a dead corpse. Whatever. The mom looks like he's over-exaggerating.
the hallway. "We need to talk about donating your brother's organs. His fingers move every time I hold his hand, Dad. The nurses said those are reflexes. Stop getting your hopes up, son." "I don't care what the nurses say. You're not donating my brother's organs." But a week later, my parents called to have Chris transferred to a long
Parents want to donate their son's organs? Probably for the money, if I had to guess.
term facility to die and scheduled a meeting to sign the papers. The afternoon before the meeting, I tapped into his palm like always, but this time, something tapped back. Short, short, short. Long, long, long. Short, short, short. SOS. I grabbed his hand. "Chris, if that's you, squeeze once." He squeezed so hard my knuckles cracked. I stormed into the meeting room and told them my brother just responded to me. The caseworker said, "This..."
The parents, jeez. They're just gonna, I'm just gonna be surprised of what happens after this. Are they gonna say, "It's just a reflexes," or something like that?
It's very common with families who aren't ready to let go. My parents nodded. I grabbed the transfer papers off the table. "You're not signing anything until you come see for yourself." I walked them to Chris's bed and grabbed his hand. "Ask him anything." The caseworker asked what year it was. Chris squeezed out the answer. Count to 5. 5 perfect squeezes. His mother's name, tapped out letter by letter. By the 10th question, she said, "He's still alive. We can't move him." Weeks later, I asked Chris.
Mother went from donating organs to like, "We can't move him. He's alive."
What kept him fighting when everyone gave up. Heard Mom call me a corpse. Heard Dad say donate my organs. Heard all of them leave, except you. I asked why. I wanted to see you too. The second my mom pulled up to my school.
So, I'd rate that an 8 out of 10. That's a pretty solid history. Story. Anyways, we're gonna watch He Tapped Back Part 2. Let's go. This is supposed to be from the guy's perspective when he got into the car crash and stuff like that.
I saw she was mad, and as soon as I opened the car door, she held up my report card. "Are you kidding me? Not a single A on here." I tried to tell her I was sorry. I tried my best. She threw it at me. "Maybe if you didn't stay up all night tapping that dumb secret code on your brother's wall, you'd actually be able to focus." I felt my heart beating. I pulled out my phone to text my brother. "Mom's really mad. I think she might..." But she grabbed it from my hand. Always on this stupid phone too. I could see her face turning red. But when I looked forward, "Mom, watch out." She saw the car too and screamed. It smashed right into us. Glass was everywhere, and I hit my head. I didn't know where I was. I tried to open my eyes, but nothing was moving. Then I heard someone. "Listen, kid, he's never gonna wake up." "No, please, he has to." It was my brother. I tried moving my hands, screaming. Nothing worked. But then, someone tapped my hand. I instantly recognized it. "Chris, are you there?" I squeezed my hand as hard as I could, but it didn't
so it
move.
seems like it's from his perspective, and he's in a black box. What?
But he stood up. "See you tomorrow, Chris." I felt a tear roll down my cheek. Someone else came in. "We should just pull the plug. I'm not paying for a vegetable. We'll get more money from donating anyways." It was my mom. She was talking about selling me, but I was still here.
I'm just
Jake.
mad at the mom. Like, would your son just sell you for organs?
Came back, tapping about his day. I knew I had to warn him. I squeezed my arm. It felt like concrete. Please, anything. They'll kill me. Then it twitched. He gasped. He ran out to grab them. That's just a reflex. No, it's him. You're talking to a corpse. That night, I heard my mom. He's gone. We need to pull the plug. I tried to move. Then, my shoulder twitched. My dad screamed. He moved. They were silent. If he wakes up, we get nothing. We need to get that paperwork signed. They ran out.
We get nothing if he wakes up? What the heck? That mom and dad are just like, vroom, vroom, I want to get the money.
And I knew I didn't have long. I felt someone tap my hand again. Chris, please wake up. They're gonna kill you. I squeezed. I needed a miracle. Then, my fingers moved. I said the first thing I thought of. SOS. Chris, I knew it. He instantly ran out of the room. Guys, he's awake. He's awake. They rushed in. I squeezed their hands. They saw it all. I heard my mom. He's still alive. We can't move him. But I knew what she said. That night, I tapped it all out to my brother as he wrote it down. He couldn't believe it. Then, when I finally opened my eyes, they gasped. My mom hugged me. Honey, you're alive! But I didn't hug her back. The doors opened behind them, and when the cops walked in, my parents looked nervous. What's going on? Can we help you? They were pissed. They slammed them.
So, basically that story was, in 7 out of 10. It was okay. It was just like, half of the story was the story that was already happening. If they did like a before or after he tapped back, that would be kind of cool. Anyways, let's go to this one where apparently this guy wants this Karen wants this guy's Minecraft hoodie.
My hoodie and give it to her son. I was in the checkout line wearing my Minecraft hoodie when a kid ran over and said, "Mom, that's Minecraft, I want it." She walked over, looked me up and down, and said, "Give it to my son." I told her no, and that my little brother gave it to me before he passed away.
Tell this girl's gonna be a Karen.
She didn't even blink. I don't care. You're a grown man wearing a kid's video game. Give it to my son. He'd actually appreciate it. I almost laughed. I'm not giving you my hoodie. She didn't move. Just hand it over, and I'll pay you $10 for it. I just told you my brother gave me this before he died. It's not for sale. She rolled her eyes.
Doesn't
20
care about the brother dying. He only cares about his son getting it. And that's not gonna fit on her son.
Final offer. I said no and tried to step around her, but she grabbed the bottom of my hoodie and pulled. I yanked it back and held it against my chest. "Don't touch me." Everyone in line went quiet. She turned around and screamed for the manager. "This man has been bothering my son since we got in line. He keeps showing off his shirt trying to get my kid's attention. I want him removed." Her son was standing right there looking confused. The manager walked over, and before I could say a word, she pointed at me. "He's harassing my child. Check the cameras if you don't believe me." So he did. The manager came back with a security guard and walked right past me and stopped in front of her. "Ma'am, the camera shows you approaching this customer, grabbing his clothing and causing a disturbance. He never touched or spoke to your child."
The Karen is so dumb. He asked them to check the cameras when he did nothing.
Didn't say anything. "We're going to need you to leave the store." She started yelling that the footage was wrong and that I started it, but the security guard was already walking her toward the door. She tripped over the curb on the way out and ate concrete. Her son looked down at her and said, "Mom, I didn't ask you to do all that." The cashier rang up my groceries, looked at my hoodie, and said, "Cool shirt, by the way." I looked down at the little creeper face on the sleeve, and for a second, I could hear my brother laughing at the whole thing. "Thanks," I said. "It's my favorite." My daughter came home crying with
In that one, I'd rate a pretty solid 8 out of 10. I like that one. That was a cool one. I just love Karen videos. Let's continue.
My favorite. My daughter came home crying with an F because her teacher doesn't know what color blood is. The first time I realized something was wrong, Riley came home from school holding out her arm. "Look, Dad, you can see the blue blood in my veins right here." She traced the blue lines under her skin with her finger. I put down my coffee and looked at her. "Actually, sweetheart, that's not true. Blood is always red because of hemoglobin. It's just darker red in your veins." Her face scrunched up, but Mrs. Miller showed us a whole PowerPoint about it. She even had diagrams from a science book. The next morning, I packed my work scrubs in my bag. I'm an ER nurse at Mercy Lucy General, and I was working the afternoon shift anyway. I sent Mrs. Miller an email asking if I could do a quick presentation about blood for career day that afternoon. She loved the idea. When I arrived, Mrs. Miller introduced me as Riley's dad who works at the hospital. 28 kids stared up at me from their desks.
Why does
I heard you guys
have so much makeup on? Like, she applied a whole thing of makeup.
learned that blood is blue inside your body, I said. The entire class nodded enthusiastically. Mrs. Miller beamed from her desk in the corner. I pulled out a blood collection tube from my pocket and held it up. This is what we use to draw blood at the hospital. Notice something. The tube creates a vacuum. No oxygen inside at all. I paused. When we draw blood with these, it never touches oxygen until we pop the cap off. I showed them photos on my phone of sealed blood tubes. See? Still red. Mrs. Miller's smile started fading. She shifted in her chair and cleared her throat. A boy raised his hand and pointed to their science textbook. But our textbook says it's blue. I picked up the book and checked the publication date, 1998. Medicine updates pretty fast. We used to think lots of things that turned out to be wrong. Mrs. Miller suddenly stood up from her desk.
Like 2026 school book has a 1996. Was it 1996? I forget. 1996 textbook. What do you think the school would update that? Anyway, sorry, I'm asking too many questions. It's just a story.
Hands gripping the edge. Well, thank you for that interesting presentation, Mr. Johnson, but we need to move on to math now. I nodded and started packing when a girl in the back raised her hand. So our textbook is wrong? The class erupted in whispers. Mrs. Miller's jaw clenched and her voice got tight. The curriculum says, actually, I interrupted, pulling up the state science standards on my phone. I walked over and turned my phone toward her. The current curriculum specifically mentions this myth as something to correct. She stared at the screen and her eyes narrowed. Her mouth pressed into a thin line and her nostrils flared. Can I speak with you in the hallway? The kids watched as we walked out and the door closed behind us. Do you have any idea how hard it is when parents undermine my authority? Her face was red and her voice was sharp. Now they'll question everything I say. I kept my voice calm. Isn't that exactly
because you're a teacher, no duh.
what we want them to do? Question things and learn critical thinking? She crossed her arms tightly. I've been teaching for 22 years. I'm not changing my whole curriculum because some nurse thinks he knows better than our textbooks. The next day, I found out Mrs. Miller gave the class a pop quiz. Riley came home crying, her face red and puffy. Her hands were shaking as she handed me a paper with a big red F on it. I took a deep breath and felt my jaw tighten as I looked at the question. What color is blood inside the body? Riley had written red, and Mrs. Miller had marked it wrong. I requested a meeting with Principal Davis and brought printouts of medical textbooks, the state science standards, and Riley's quiz. The principal called in Mrs. Miller and asked her directly, is blood blue?
I swear, I just started hearing British. Was it British the whole time? I have it low volume. I don't know.
Inside the body. After a long pause, Mrs. Miller said, it's what the children understand better. I leaned forward in my chair. My daughter is crying every morning before school because she's afraid of getting F's for writing down the truth. The next day, the school replaced their science books. Now whenever Riley learns something new at school, she comes home and asks me, Dad, is this actually true or is it just a Mrs. Miller truth? The flight attendant slipped me a napkin that said,
that? I'll read it a 9 out of 10. I liked that one. So yeah. Let's go on to the next one.
just a Mrs. Miller truth. The flight attendant slipped me a napkin that said, the pilot isn't who he says he is. Meet me in the back to talk. I knew she chose to tell me because of the military dog tags around my neck. I folded the napkin and slid it into my pocket, and that's when the captain's voice came over the intercom. Good morning, folks. This is Captain Hopkins, expecting smooth skies to Chicago, but something was wrong. I could feel it in my
something was wrong. There is literally a girl who handed you a sheet.
I waited 2 minutes and casually walked to the back, not knowing what to expect. The flight attendant was there with a man holding up a police badge. The man whispered, I'm glad you're here. I'm an undercover cop. I knew something was wrong straight away. The flight attendant whispered, I've flown.
Something was wrong straight away. No, duh. You got a note and there's an undercover cop there.
With Captain Hopkins for 6 years. I don't exactly know what's wrong, but I know that's not Hopkins, and we're flying the wrong way. She showed me the flight map of where we were heading. The plane is heading toward an abandoned airport. I leaned over the map. My body was pumping with adrenaline because it was the perfect place to crash a plane. There's an empty space above the pilot's room. I can climb up and listen to what the pilot and co-pilot are planning through the ceiling. Take my number. If you can tell there's something fishy going on, text me one word, now. That's the signal to move. And to distract everyone while I climbed above the ceiling, the flight attendant attendant made an announcement on the speakers to tell everyone to keep their seatbelts on. Through the cracks, I could hear two men in the pilot's room talking. 15 years ago today, our brother died because of Captain Hopkins. Now we get to crash his plane with him tied up on it while we impersonate him. I texted the undercover cop. Now, the cart slammed into the pilot's room door, and the cop kicked it open. I dropped through the ceiling and tackled the fake pilot out of his seat. The cop pinned the co-pilot to the floor. The flight attendant grabbed the radio. "Mayday, our pilot is gone. We need help landing right now." She looked at me. "Find Hopkins, the actual pilot. He has to be on this plane somewhere." I sprinted to the
doesn't.
back of the
Oh wait, yeah he does. Never mind. My bad. He has to, because they said he's gonna die on the plane too.
plane, checking every door. I yanked open the closet next to the bathrooms, and Captain Hopkins was inside with his hands tied and tape across his mouth. I ripped the tape off. "Get me to the controls."
I
He
thought
ran
in
to the
picture
front
he had a beard.
and dropped into the pilot's chair. He grabbed the wheel. "Tower, this is the real Captain Hopkins. I'm landing this plane." When we finally landed, the cops dragged the brothers off in handcuffs. The flight attendant came up to me in the aisle. I pulled the napkin out of my pocket and held it up. "You saved 200 lives with this." She smiled and took it back. My twin brother Chris and I were
And that
not...
was the last one. I rated... That one was like low-key the best one. So I will rate it a 10 out of 10. Good job, History. I love your videos. Subscribe to Bacon Plays. And you know what? Subscribe to his story too. He's a good creator.